This video is going to be an introduction to the concept of fields in Blender's geometry nodes. So on my website at richardyot.com, I have this free geometry nodes cheat sheet that you can download that is going to allow you to very quickly read and understand any node layout by explaining what all of the colors and shapes mean. And once you understand this, you can quickly glance at any layout and instantly see what's going on. And right at the top of the cheat sheet, we have these three boxes which explain three fundamental concepts in geometry nodes, which are attributes, fields, and domains. Attributes are simply the properties that any element might have. For example, every vertex is going to have an index attribute and a position attribute. Domains are simply the high-level categories that any element belongs to. For example, vertices, edges, and faces all belong to their own domains, and there's also points, volume grids, and instances, amongst others. And then we have fields, and fields are slightly more confusing and require a little bit more explanation. A field is essentially the sum total of all of the attributes in a defined dataset. So for example, if we return to Blender and I select this plane, which has been subdivided to have multiple vertices, and we take a look in the spreadsheet, we can see that in the vertex domain, we have two attributes that are already defined, the index and the position. And if I needed an operation to affect every single vertex in this mesh individually, I would need to do that with a field. And in my training course, Geometry Nodes Fundamentals, the way I explain it is to liken the concept of fields to a field of grass. And the reason I use this analogy is because it's really easy to remember and really easy to understand. So here I've created a virtual field of grass using instances on points, and I think that anyone can intuitively understand that in a field of grass, every single blade of grass is going to have its own individual position, its own individual rotation, and its own individual scale. And if I head over to the spreadsheet and look in the instances domain, you'll see that our instances of grass already have some predefined attributes. For example, every instance is assigned a mesh. In this case, they're all assigned the same mesh. They also have a unique ID, a unique position, a unique rotation, and a unique scale. And if we take a closer look in the node graph, you can see exactly how I am driving the rotation and the scale of my grass. So to rotate every blade of grass randomly in the z-axis, I'm using a random value into the z rotation axis of my instance on points node. And the crucial visual cue here is that there is a dashed line connecting all of these nodes, and a dashed line means that a field is being transmitted, not a single value, because a single value would be represented by a solid line. And if we hover the cursor over the outputs or the inputs of the sockets, the socket inspector will tell us that there's a field being driven by the particle ID. And because this value is a field, a different random value is assigned to every single instance in the collection. But if I was to replace that field with a single value, then every single blade of grass would inherit the same rotation value. And I can demonstrate this by plugging the single value into the rotation input, and you can see that they are now all facing the same way, and that there is a solid noodle in between the two nodes. And exactly the same thing happens with the random scaling, which I am driving on the Y and Z axes. If I was to replace that with a single value, you can see that every single blade of grass now has exactly the same scale. And so if I want to affect each instance individually, I need to do this with a field. And once you understand this, you understand the fundamental concept of fields in geometry nodes. Wherever you see a dashed noodle in the graph, that means that a field is being transmitted from one node to the next. However, there is a little bit more nuance to this, and that is what I'm going to talk about next. Because a field is essentially a container for the data you are transmitting, but the data itself can be driven dynamically. It's going to change depending on what's happening with the nodes in your node graph. And this is a very important concept because this is essentially how you make selections in geometry nodes. You define a field or a subset of a field to carry out certain operations on. And what I'm going to do is to drive the selection input of my instancing node with a compare node and some different inputs. And I'm going to plug an index input node into this compare node. And an input node, such as the ones that we have here, are simply nodes that only have an output and no inputs because they're used to drive the inputs of other nodes. And in the case of an index node or a position node, what they're doing is simply to define the field that the operation is going to be carried out on. So for example, if I take the output of the index node and plug it into the selection input of the instance node, nothing happens because we're simply telling this node to use every index on the plane. However, if I plug this index node into a less than node, and let's set the compare value to 1, and take the output of this node, which you can see is the dashed line, so it's going to define a field, and I'm going to plug that into the selection input of my instance node, you can see that we now only have one blade of grass in our field. And if we look in the spreadsheet, there is only one value because we only have one instance. But if I increase the threshold, you can see we have more values appearing in the spreadsheet and more blades of grass appearing in our field. And this is what I mean by fields being dynamic. The field is simply the container for the data. The data itself can be dynamically driven and can change according to what happens in the node graph. And so if I increase this value, we get more and more blades of grass appearing on our plane until eventually I'll reach the point where every single index is being counted. And of course, I can use different fields to make different kinds of selections. So instead of using the index, I'm going to use a position input node. And I'm going to plug that into the B input of the compare node. And here, if I change the A value, you can see that I can dynamically drive the grass on the plane. And of course, the spreadsheet is going to update with the number of instances that are appearing on the plane. And so I am making a dynamic selection by defining a position field and then using a compare node to select a subset of that position field. And what this input node is doing is simply to create a definition for the field that's being fed up the chain. There's no data in this node, it's simply an instruction. The position data doesn't actually exist until it's evaluated at the input at the end of the chain. And next we're going to look at a different way of selecting by position. I've got a cube, which I'm going to reveal right here. And I'm also going to add it into this object info node. And if we take a closer look at the noodle that connects the object info into the next node, you'll notice that it's solid. And that's because we're not measuring every point on the cube, we're simply measuring the object center, which is a single value. And what I want to do is to measure the distance between this cube and the points on this plane. So I've added a position node. And of course, this is a field because it's measuring every single position on the plane. And I'm going to take the output of this distance node and connect that into our compare node. And now let's take a look at what happens when I increase the A value. And so you can see I can determine where the grass is growing on my plane by comparing the positions on the plane to their distance to the cube. Now generally, rather than using a cube, I would use an empty to do this. So let's go back to the object info node and I'm just going to swap that out with an empty. And this is the empty. And of course, if I move it, the grass is going to react dynamically. And if I change the operator in the compare node from less than to greater than, then I can have the grass directly under my empty. And of course, I can change the amount of grass that is growing dynamically. And one final point, just to illustrate that these input nodes are instructions and not a collection of data, I'm going to use the same position node to drive two particle systems that are going to end up with completely different results. And so we have the current setup where this position node is being fed into the distance node and then into the compare node, and that is giving us this result. But I've set up a second particle system over here, and if I enable that in the viewer, you can see that we have a completely different distribution of particles, even though they are being driven by the same position node. And that's because this node is simply an instruction, but the outcome is evaluated at the end of the chain and is wholly dependent on whatever other operations are going on in the node graph. And so I hope this video has helped to clarify the concept of fields in Blender. And the easiest analogy is to simply think of a field of grass where every single blade of grass has its own set of attributes, for example, position, rotation, and scale. And if you want to dive deeper into geometry nodes, I highly recommend my course, Blender Geometry Nodes Fundamentals, which you can find at richardyot.com. So with that said, thank you very much for watching.